In this video, we're gonna go through the top 3 tips to combat urinary urge incontinence. So if you have urinary urge incontinence, you most likely feel like you leak your pee when you get a sudden urge to go pee. And in this video, I'm gonna give you 3 tools to help you prevent yourself from leaking, because who wants to be leaking, right? So I want you to watch the entirety of this video, and at the end, you'll have 3 tips so you can start to utilize those tips today in order to help prevent leaking with urge urinary incontinence. Before we dive in to urge urinary incontinence and the 3 tips to help stop it today, I want to share with you what urge urinary incontinence is, just in case you missed it. You can also check out a full-on breakdown of the different types of urinary incontinence in my previous video. And in that video, you will be able to know and differentiate which type of incontinence you have, or if you have a combination of different incontinences. But today we're going to be mainly focusing on 3 tools to help you minimize your urge urinary incontinence. And so what is urge urinary incontinence? Well, you most likely already know that you might be leaking when maybe you wash your hands or you hear running water. You might get this sudden urge to go pee, and you're like, all of a sudden it's so strong that you almost feel like you aren't going to make it to the bathroom. Guess what? I have some tips to help you get yourself to that bathroom leak-free. So go through the entirety of this video so you can start to incorporate these tips into your daily life, and not just when you get an urge to go pee, but we'll start to break that pattern as well. So, urge urinary incontinence is when you get these sudden urges and you can't control them. And those sudden urges cause you to leak, either because you can't get to the bathroom on time or because they're just so aggressive that they're just controlling you. The other things that can trigger urge urinary incontinence is when you get home and you immediately see your front door and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna make it to the toilet, now I have to pee so bad. So we're gonna talk about those today and how to break these patterns. Some people with urge urinary incontinence feel like before they go to bed, they have to go pee like 3 to 10 times to fully get everything out of their bladder before they can fully fall asleep. Well, newsflash for you, your bladder doesn't need to empty that frequently right before bed. And so we're going to talk about these different ways to help change some of your behaviors to help improve your incontinence today. No one wants to be leaking. You don't want to have to rely on medicine or Botox to do this stuff to the bladder in order to prevent the leaking or prevent the urgency. So that's why these tips that are natural and free and just you can start them today are so beneficial. So please like this video, subscribe to us, share this with your friends. A lot of people have urge urinary incontinence, but no one talks about it. And so I'm here to talk about it today, and I'm here to spread the word so you don't have to rely on taking medications with endless side effects to keep your pants dry. And you don't have to buy, pads for the rest of your life because you don't think you're gonna make it to the toilet on time. I want you to be able to fix this problem, stop it dead in its tracks. So here we go. Tip number 1, the minute you get the urge to go pee. So whether that is the running water, whether that is washing your hands, seeing your front door, maybe it's just the thought of leaving your house and you get this sudden drastic urge to go pee, we need to fix that. So what we're gonna do, tip number 1, is we're gonna take 3 diaphragmatic belly breaths to help relax and open the pelvic floor in order to mitigate that urge and provide space for the bladder. And follow me here. Here we go. So you get the urge, you see the front door. What I want you to do, instead of squeezing for dear life, is you're gonna full on relax. You're gonna take 3 belly breaths. So it's gonna look like this. Deep breath into the belly and let it go. So if a hand was on your chest, the only hand that would be moving would be the hand on your belly. Deep breath in, exhale, let it go. Deep breath in again, and exhale, let it go. So we're gonna use 3 diaphragmatic breaths to help break that cycle of that urge. And while you're doing that breath, I want you to focus on the breath and or focus on something wildly drastically different. So we're going to use breathing and distraction as a way to mitigate that urge. The minute we get the urge to go pee, we want to try to prevent that urge. We should be able to delay that urge 15 to 30 minutes and really make sure our bladder is fully full, and not because we had some trigger come into our world that then caused this urgency situation. So we're going to use the breathing and distraction combined. So a distraction could be either A, you're focusing on this breath very fully and very like intuitively, almost as if you're in like this deep meditation, and or you can use, if you can't get your brain like to really imagine the anatomy and to fully be present there, you can just go full on distraction with the breathing and count down. So you could do like a 4-second inhale. So inhale for 4 seconds, hold the air in for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds. At the end of the exhale, wait 4 seconds, then inhale 4 seconds. At the top of the inhale, hold it for 4 seconds. Then you're gonna exhale for 4 seconds. Then at the end of the exhale, you're gonna hold it for 4 seconds. Then you're gonna inhale for 4 seconds. Hold it for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4 seconds. That is called box breathing. It's a form of breath, but it's also using distraction. And so because you're having to count the inhale, count the hold, and then count the exhale, and then count the empty. So it's called box breathing. So I would love you to try that. That is our combination diaphragmatic breathing with distraction. You're going to use the box breathing technique. Okay, so that is tool number 1. Okay, so you're working with tool number 1. Tool number 2 is hydration. You have to keep the bladder hydrated. The more hydrated you are, the less likely you are going to succumb to urges and the less present those urges are going to be. Bladder, so if this is my bladder, the bladder spasms if it becomes more acidic. The more acidic it becomes, whether that's from coffee, whether that's just from the urine buildup, the more dehydrated you are, the more acidic your urine is gonna be. The more acidic our bladder is, the more spasms our bladder is gonna have. The bladder loves water. So hydrate your bladder with water, and that will cause less spasms because it won't be so reactive to that acidity. That bladder lining doesn't cause as much spasm when it has water. And those spasms go to the brain and tell the brain, hey, I gotta pee. And so if we can help mitigate the spasms on the bladder, then we are gonna help mitigate the urgency that we feel. So how are we gonna do this? You have to play with your own levels of hydration. It might be 1 ounce of water per body weight or per lean body mass. So you might be drinking 100 ounces a day, 200 ounces a day, 250 ounces a day. But you know, your body isn't gonna necessarily need all that water, so you need to play with your own levels of hydration, and of course take in electrolytes as well, although some electrolytes can increase the acidity of the bladder. So we want to keep the bladder hydrated, and you know, the recommendation is 8 ounces, 8 glasses of that a day. I tend to think it's a little bit more, again with the ounce per body weight, in order to really get that bladder nice and hydrated throughout the day. And really the bladder should be able to hold urine for 3 to 4 hours. So play with what your hydration status is, whether that is 8 glasses of 8 ounces or whether that is 1 ounce per body weight. You have to find your right levels. But staying hydrated is absolutely important in order to help neutralize the acid of the bladder and make sure that you're not getting false spasms, causing the fake urge that is telling your brain, hey, the bladder is full, I have to go pee. When in reality, when the bladder is spasming, it's usually just because it's acidic and not because it's full. So it's giving our brain these false urges that aren't helpful. So that would be one of my urge delay techniques for you, would be to stay hydrated, stay on top of your hydration, play with it. If that is too scary for you, the next time you have a full day at home, really hydrate throughout your day and see like, oh, Is this helping my urgency? Okay, let's play with this some more, see if this works for you. So that would be my second tip. So the first tip, again, we went with the box breathing using a combination of diaphragmatic breathing and also distraction. The second part we're doing is hydration. The third part is I need you to identify your triggers. So the minute that you know that, hey, seeing my front door is a trigger, the minute I know that turning on the water is a trigger, I need you to identify it. So write it down and then start playing with it. I need you to have a full bladder, have an empty bladder, and introduce yourself to those triggers more frequently. And then when you're doing the actual technique, you're gonna go and either do two different things. You're gonna play with two different things. So you get your trigger. So say you're gonna practice pulling up to your house and seeing your front door, okay? You're gonna drive around the block, pull up to the house, see your front door. Does that elicit the trigger? Okay, can I use tool number one, the breathing, the box breathing, to help mitigate the urge? No, okay, if that didn't work for you, you either try that and it works, or you try it, or maybe it semi-works and you're gonna stick with that and see if that works for you. Okay, say that doesn't work, I need you to try a different route. The different route would be you're gonna squeeze everything in your body as tight as you can. You're gonna squeeze your legs together, squeeze your tummy together, just pulling everything up and in, squeezing your pelvic floor, pretending like you're trying to prevent the urge to pee. You can even give yourself pressure here as you squeeze. You can even lift your bladder up as you squeeze, holding everything super, super tight, and then let it go. And you can hold that for 5 to 10 seconds. And then you're gonna use that contraction as an urge delay technique. And then you are gonna be with your stimulus. Okay, did that delay the urge enough to be able to get to the toilet? Yes, it did. Okay, you made it to the toilet. Now you're gonna get back in your car, drive around the block again, come to that trigger again, seeing the front door. You're essentially gonna repeat this 3 to 5 times to get the brain to be like, oh, I don't have to go pee anymore. You know your bladder's not full. You just voided, so you don't need to go again, but we have to keep showing your brain the trigger and then doing something to reduce that trigger, whether it be the distraction and diaphragmatic breathing. That works for some people. Some people are gonna need the contraction and squeezing as tight as they can. So you have to play with what works for you. So either tool is available for you, but the main key component of this is that you're gonna use that repeat stimulus. So I made, the example I used was, seeing that front door. Drive around your block, see the front door, okay? Do your trigger response. So whether that's the squeeze or whether that's tip number 1, it works, make it to the toilet, get back in your car, repeat it 3 to 5 times, okay? So if that's your stimulus, if that's not your stimulus and for you it's washing your hands, you're gonna wash your hands 3 to 5 times in a row. And we want to change the pattern. So by the 4th and 5th time, you don't actually even have to go to the bathroom. So this is in order to help create a new pattern. And so maybe you're like, I'm gonna wash my hands and then I'm gonna blow dry my hair, or something just strange and maybe you wouldn't do. But you wanna try and create a new pattern for your body. And so you wash your hands and maybe you go turn on the TV. Maybe you wash your hands and then you do something else. And so then your bladder is now having to hold and you're using a form of distraction instead of completely voiding. Okay, so to recap this entire video, we are using these different tools to help totally eliminate the urgency that you're experiencing that is causing this urinary urge incontinence. And so tip number 1, we used a form of breathing technique called diaphragmatic breathing and a combination of distraction. And we gave the example of a box type breathing strategy. Tip number 2, we discussed about hydration and how vividly important hydration is to help lubricate the bladder. Tip number 3, we talked about giving yourself the trigger and repeating that stimulus and then having a different response at the end. And then when we got that stimulus, we also talked about how to avoid those urges, and we introduced you could use a full body contraction in order to help do the urge delay. And or you can use tip number 1, the distraction, the box breathing, diaphragmatic breathing example. So I hope you found this super helpful. Share this with your friends. And again, go watch the definition of incontinence. And so you can really see, oh, maybe I have, urge incontinence, but maybe you have other types of incontinence as well. So I hope you found this valuable. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Dr. Allison Felt, and I hope you have a wonderful, healthy life and a very healthy pelvic floor.